We'll start with McClanahan Bieber is the pitching matchup in Rays Guardians. Colin, your best bet for the game one, Guardians Rays.
Yeah, the Battle of Shanes. And after I just waxed poetic about the Rays for a couple of minutes, it's going to be no surprise to hear that I'm taking the Rays here. I'm actually focused more on the first 5 money line because I mentioned the Guardians bullpen advantage does give me a little bit pause about the first full game. So I think there's a little bit more value on the first 5 money line. Talked a lot about the lefty advantage that the Rays have. So I did want to note McClanahan. There is some concern with McClanahan here. He came back from injury, made 4 starts in September, did not look like himself. The Rays were cautious with him. He only threw as many as 83 pitches in a game, did never throw more than that. However, those 4 starts, they came 2 against the Blue Jays, 2 against the Astros, 2 of the best offensive teams in baseball. He's also coming into this start with an extra day of rest because he pitched on October 1st. So I have some faith that McClanahan's going to look a little bit more like his true self. And as I mentioned, Cleveland's weighted runs created plus against lefties. They have 2 regulars who are good against lefties. That's Andres Jimenez and Ahmed Rosario. Josh Naylor probably won't even play in this game. He had 1 plate appearance against a lefty all season. Jose Ramirez's WRC plus drops down to 97 against lefties. Steven Kwan's drops down to 85. Talk about the splits advantage. Tampa going against a righty and Shane Bieber. They're actually not as good against righties, but the drop-off is not as stark as it is for Cleveland. They're 99 weighted runs created plus against righties, so about league average. And they have a lot of hitters who can hit righties. Eman Choi, the 116, Harold Ramirez, 104, Yandy Diaz, 141, and Randy Rosarino, 115. Shane Bieber actually faced Tampa a few months ago. He allowed 4 earned runs over 6 innings. And I do want to mention an X factor for Tampa in this series. He kind of was a forgotten man this year as he dealt with injuries. Wander Franco. Obviously, we know the skill and the talent level from this former number one overall prospect. Battled injuries all year long. From September 1st through the end of the season, he hit 322, 381, 471 with 9 walks against just 7 strikeouts. So Rays first 5 money line plus 110. I'm also going to sprinkle a little bit of player prop on there to Wander Franco over 1.5 total bases plus 150. Red hot right now. Love his matchup against Bieber.
Excellent. And just a reminder, I should have said this off the top. Those of you not familiar in this wild card round, all 3 games, if there is a necessary game 3, will be at the hosting team from game 1. So Toronto, Cleveland, New York, and St. Louis are all home throughout this series. So that's worth noting in case you're not familiar, because baseball has mixed around their rules here in recent memory. Best bet for game 1, Guardians, Rays, Anthony.
Yeah, I like the Rays too. I took the money line. Okay. I'm not making it my biggest wager because I already have the series price as well. I know Colin bet it. I bet it too. I'm keeping this one a little bit smaller. I think Colin mentioned it with the concern about McClanahan. I'm still a little concerned about McClanahan. He really hasn't been the same guy in the second half of the season that he was in the first half when he started the All-Star game and was the favorite for the Cy Young in the first half of the season. Strikeout minus walk rate was 4% better than everybody else in baseball. Now he's just been a really good pitcher, not an elite ace type pitcher. Shane Bieber is somebody that I have faded and lost money fading this season. Not the biggest believer in him, but really this comes down to the Cleveland offense still. It's not just that they're bad against lefties. They have no power at all. Josh Naylor not being in the lineup, Ramirez not as much pop. They have the worst power ISO in the entire league against left-handed pitching. It's a big concern for the guards in this game. So I like the Rays.
Looking at the action app for this game 1, 51%, so just over 50% of the bets coming in on Cleveland money line to win game 1, but then 69% of the money is on Tampa. So the folks like the Rays, the people like the Rays. Anthony.
Yeah, and one more thing, Cleveland's kind of the BABIP gods, right? Like they get a lot of infield singles. They try to string together a lot of singles. The Rays are a top 5 BABIP allowed team this year. I mean, they put their guys in positions to make plays. They're always well aligned. I think it's going to be harder to do that with no pop in the lineup and you're not going to get as many of the cheap hits against the Rays. Not that they're an elite defensive team necessarily, but they don't allow BABIP. I mean, they put themselves in the right place.